Sorry, baby, I won't buy you no bags. I can show you how to get one to count up a stack. Let the money talk, I don't even gotta brag. Niggas going out bad, chasing hoes instead of cash. Lame niggas, man, we gotta pray for them. I be up early cause it's cash in the morning. Need at least 5 racks if G4 performing. Going 5 rounds with your bitch when I'm horny. Heartbreaker, bitch, you know we make noise. West I get the money, we the OPM boys. Roll with the winners.
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning back to the Let Me Speak podcast. I am your host, Deasia, and we are in episode 17, I believe. 17, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm getting up there. I just want to say I got an amazing guest here with me today, rapper Niko G4.
Hey man, thanks for having me.
All right. So yeah, go ahead and let's tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, what you got going. I know you just dropped an album, Player for Life. So let's go ahead and tell the listeners about that.
Man, I just dropped a new album July 10th. It was Player Forever. It's something that I've been working on for basically the last year. I didn't drop my previous albums from 2017 called Roll the Dice 2. So I took a little time off just to get my mind right. It was a lot of things that I was, trying to basically tell the people, in a sense of an album sense. I didn't want to just put out singles, and I didn't want to just, enter the game like that. I really want to show another segment of my career and my life, I'm saying, because, I think it's important that every album you give a different feel to the people, and I feel like so many artists just keep doing the same things because it's comfortable to do that. But I feel like, for me, it's more important to demonstrate another side of what I'm doing and another reason why I'm in the game, what I'm saying? So one thing for me, Player Forever, is just a mentality of not just being when people hear a player, they just think about girls and stuff. But for me, it's more so how you play life. What's your position in life? How do you play the game of life? You know what I'm saying? Because everybody on the team, if you have a starting 5, they all play a certain role. What is your role? You know what I'm saying? So for me, I just wanted to tell people what my role was in the game and how I felt about the game. So that's what I feel like my album was about,
I love it. What's your favorite song on that album?
I would say my favorite song on the album, that's a good question because I get that all the time. I would probably say either Showtime, the first song, or
that's one of my favorites.
I would say even Pain, Struggle, Sacrifice is one of the main ones. I make a lot of good party songs, but I feel like when I make real records, when I talk to people and I give them a piece of me and my soul, I feel like those are the records that really mean a lot to me because I'm speaking not only from my body, but from my soul. And I'm talking to people that really understand, you know what I'm saying?
Showtime is one of my favorites, but definitely Strip Club too. I love that one too.
Yeah. And those are the ones that is just like a vibe. That I know that's undeniable. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, those are some of my top ones for sure. Yeah.
I feel you. All right, so I kind of just want to give you a little rundown on the Let Me Speak podcast and what it's about. I basically started this podcast to kind of give a little bit more, shine some more light on our intelligent men in hip hop. I feel that our black men in hip hop kind of always get a bad rep that because they're black and they're in the hip hop game that they're just pants sagging thugs that only know about gang banging and slinging drugs and whatnot. And we know that's definitely not true. My black men and my black brothers who are in this hip hop game, there's a lot of them who are very smart and intelligent black men, and they need to be recognized and their voices need to be heard. And I just want to let them again get their voices heard and let them speak on things that are important and that are affecting us as a black community because their voices matter.
So I agree with that because we represent a different culture than just more so that what you're saying, just being in the streets. We've been in the streets ourselves, but we promote a different feel. It's more positivity. It's a more a mentality that's success. You know what I'm saying? We want people to do better because we all come from poverty. You know what I'm saying? So even with other people's money, we're basically telling people to invest not only your own, but to have other people, invest their money into your dreams, and that's what it's our fans do. You know, our fans are investing their money to see us do more, and because they believe in the vision, they believe in the dream. So, you know, I definitely appreciate that message, even you know, acknowledging that. As far as like, you know, just being an interviewer, I feel like so many people only like want to talk about certain things like that, like street shit, and don't always matter to certain people. Not everybody's interested in just
exactly,
you know, like the streets and who's killing who or whatever.
exactly. Like this, that was my main reason, because like you said, not everybody wants to talk about that, and
Right.
I feel like everybody talking about that stuff is so played out that we need to talk about, you know, what's affecting us as the
No,
Black
definitely.
community, you know.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And I definitely agree with that. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I'm influenced by both. Like I can't, I'll be a liar if I didn't say I was influenced by the streets, but more so what really changed my perspective was, you know, I had uncles that were successful outside of the streets. You know, they grew up in the streets, but I have an uncle that's one of the top Black CEOs in corporate America. You know what I'm saying? So growing up, he always told me, he's from Detroit. He's from 7 Mile, and you know he grew up in one of the toughest neighborhoods ever, and you know he's one of the most successful people I know. And in general, like that just showed me, like, you know, it's not always about, you know, glorifying the streets, but trying to get out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's something bigger for us over there. Like, why can't we start a new trend of being, you know, seeing Blacks in Bel Air? You know what I'm saying? Because really, that's what, you know, our culture should be involved in. You know, we deserve to see that. Like, you know, we suffer for, you know, our ancestors suffer for 400, you know, plus years of going through, you know, a lot of pain and a lot of stuff that we still feel in our generations today.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's important to want to do better and want to see better from our people.
Right. Exactly. All right. So let's get into it. All right. So first things first, before we start getting to the nitty gritty, I want to ask you, how does it feel being a Black man, and what does that mean to you, being a Black man?
Honestly, it's, to be a Black man in America and being a Black man in general, it's such a powerful thing. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like, in particular, you know what I'm saying, we're not only one of the most hated races, but we're one of the most strong, you know, praised races. You know, we don't get always the glory that we deserve, but I feel like that's the reason why we are so creative. We're so inspirational. You know, Black people inspire the whole world. We inspired every culture, you know, more than any culture. Like, not to, you know, no offense to any other cultures, but you know, I feel like every culture has done some Black things, and you don't always see Black people doing what they do. You know what I'm saying? So,
Definitely.
in a sense, I feel like being a Black man is such a powerful, you know, thing in this, in today's time too. You know what I'm saying? They literally, you know, try to hurt us mentally by a lot of things that happened in the past, and they try to basically set us against each other. But when we're together, with Black people and Black men are together, we're the strongest in that I've ever seen in ever. You know what I'm saying? So to be a Black man, I think it's an honor, it's a blessing, you know, and I glorify it every day.
Uh, that's how I feel being a Black woman. It's a blessing, you know, and I thank God for our Black men, our, you know, our strong, intelligent Black men as yourself.
Definitely.
So touching on, you know, being a Black man, I want to talk about Brandon Bernard. Have you heard about him?
Yeah, I heard his story, but you know, I definitely it's so many stories now to where I kind of like got to keep up with everything.
Yeah, it's sad that you have to say that there's so many stories, you know.
So many.
But basically, for those who are listening, if you guys don't know the whole history behind Brandon Bernard, he was 18 when he was convicted in 1999 of the murder of Stacy and Todd Bagley, and these two were young ministers in Killeen, Texas, youth ministers in Killeen, Texas. Yes, and Brandon was one of a group of 5 men who carjacked these two the Bagleys, if I'm saying that last name right. But they carjacked them. He was one of 5 who carjacked them. They drove around with them in their trunk, and then they shot the couple in the head, and then they burnt the car. And Brandon Bernard was the one who burnt the car. And basically, I mean, yes, he did. He committed a crime, and it's sad. But my whole thing is, you know, he's the youngest person to have received the death sentence in 70 years, and I just feel like, why couldn't they have just let him, you know, carry on life in prison instead of lethally injecting him? You know what I mean?
Right, right, right. And
Go Go ahead.
I feel like I feel like it's the same thing with Tukey Williams. I feel like they know your cause is bigger outside. Like when they hear your name getting talked about outside of jail, they want to minimize that as much as possible. They want to minimize the talk about things. They don't want people to be aware about what's going on. They don't want people helping you. And I felt like that was one of the main reasons why they take people away like that, because they want the conversation just to be finished. When we come together, like I said, as Black people, and we help each other and we get other allies to help, they start to get, pretty much their back against the wall. Like, hold on, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like they want to just take the air out of the room as much as possible. So whenever they do things like that, I feel like it's to kind of take more of our spirit away in the sense of, you know what I'm saying?
I like how you put that. Because, definitely there was a whole, national outcry to spare his life. He had Kim Kardashian, Sean King. Everybody was trying to help get this man, save his life. And, I feel, I'm not sure if everybody knows, but, the Obama administration, like they were asked and contacted to, help spare his life and give him life instead of the lethal injection. They refused. The DOJ refused. The Attorney General refused. And then Trump, he had the option to stop this process, and he went ahead with the execution. And like I said, despite the nation's cry for this man's life, they still went and went ahead and took his life. And it's just sad. It saddens me that this is how they treat us. Because yes, what he did was horrible, but for one, it's like, let's think about how long it's been. He's turned his life around when he's in prison. He was advocate for helping the youth, and he was doing a lot of religious stuff while he was in prison. So he was trying to turn his life around. And there's so many cases nowadays in 2020 where people should have gotten a lethal injection, and they're able to walk free in jail. Not walk free, but you know what I mean, like live. So
yeah, no, and I definitely agree. I don't know if you ever seen a movie called Crown Heights.
Mm-mm.
It's a movie on Amazon, and it's basically about a Jamaican male that, I think Trinidadian, from New York. He was wrongfully convicted about a murder that he didn't do. He spent about 20 years in jail because the people that committed the murder didn't want to basically admit that they did it alone. They knew he was a suspect as well, but they knew that he didn't do it. Right. But they didn't want to basically, say that it was only on me. So the killer that actually did it got out of jail before he got out of jail. And he was in jail for over 20 years. He had to fight this case basically over and over and over and over and over. It took 20 years that he basically was wrongfully convicted, got the victim that was killed brother basically came to the stand and basically retold the truth that he had no part of the crime. And it's called Crown Heights.
I feel like I don't think I've seen it, but I have seen like the trailer for it. I've passed through it. I feel like I know what you're talking about.
I just recently watched it, and it literally was like, damn, man, America is such a messed up system, because most of those DAs and those detectives, they scare the suspects into basically not only telling, they don't tell the truth, they just tell a story, because they know that, they scare them with a sentence that you'll go to jail if you don't tell the truth. Then they'll just say, okay, he did it, just to get out of the room, just to get out of the situation. And I feel like that happens to our people all the time. There's 120,000 wrongfully convicted prisoners right now in American jails.
That's how they did the Central Park 5 boys. That was the same thing.
Right. And I seen it as well. Yeah.
I couldn't even finish it. I'm not gonna lie. I couldn't finish it. It's a
sad story.
It hurt. It hurt to watch, but it definitely, brings me back to one of my points that I always say, is that the judicial system is not designed for us at all.
Not at all.
What do you think? What do you think about that? Like, what is your take on that? The judicial system not being designed for us.
I mean, I honestly, in my sense, I think that if you're a brown or black person involved in any type of situation, there are